It's another beautiful day to be a Raider, draped in the silver and black. I represent the shield. I represent the swords. It's that time of night again, Raider Nation. And you come back. Why? Because it's time. It's time to bring the...
What's up, Raider Nation? I am the Commish, coming to you live from Hardcore Challenge Live Studios. Deep behind the enemy line. This is Raider Reaction. And every Friday on Raider Reaction is Black Friday. And every Black Friday is Silver and Black Theater, where we dust off another classic from the Raider archives. And tonight, we jump back in our time machine as we get into full regular season mode here on Raider Reaction, as we get you tuned up for Lambs at Raiders Week 1 with a little trip back in time. To a previous meeting of the Rams at Raiders.
The Lions trying to come back.
Pardon me, a little technical difficulties here.
6 yards deep. He's got a lane. Gilliard. And cloudy skies here in Oakland and rain.
Pardon the technical difficulties there.
Temperatures, a little bit of humidity.
We will be going back in time to the year of 2010.
We'll tee it up.
Lambs at Raiders.
Actually won the toss, but they deferred. And John, maybe that's a little land to go on defense against a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, let's put the young quarterback there on the road and see what he can do.
The rookie Marty Gilliard, the 4th round pick out of Cincinnati, comes from 6 yards deep. He's got a lane. Gilliard with a nice return out to the 26-yard line. So Sam Bradford had a nice showing last week. He threw the ball an awful lot. 55 times was a record. He completed 53 yards. But he did throw 3 interceptions, 2 of those in 2-minute situations. You'll see Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson, second in the NFC last year in rushing, actually first. Led the team in rushing and receiving. And they'll go to Jackson early. Jackson will pick up 2. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, the Oakland Raiders will be without their star defensive tackle, Richard Seaboard. Desmond Bryant, second-year man out of Harvard, will get his first NFL start. He did play a lot last year as a rookie. That's Rolando McClain, the 8th overall pick in this year's draft out of Alabama. Route along with Asamoah, very solid at corner. And there's a completion. A marker is down, though. That's Billy Badgema. So the first call of the day for Tony Corrente.
Offside, defense number 93, in the neutral zone at the snap. This penalty is declined. The result of the play, first down.
So the first down of the day helps the Rams move closer.
Thank you for joining us, Raider Nation, on another Black Friday Silver and Black Theater on Raider Reaction. I am the Commish, coming to you live from Hardcore Challenge Live Studios. And as always, deep behind the enemy line.
Trust your young quarterback to go get you a first down. Nice start for the St. Louis Rams and Sam Bradford.
Jackson still moving his feet, moving the pile a little bit. Quentin Groves is the initial man there, a pickup of 3. Last week, The Rams losing the home opener 17-13 in spite of putting up some impressive numbers. 253 yards passing by Bradford, 20 first downs. On defense, they forced 4 turnovers and only 4 penalties, but John, when you don't put points on the board, none of that matters.
They had plenty of opportunities to win that game, and this team has to learn how to win. You have to cash in on opportunities when they're there.
Second down and 7. Bradford in trouble. Bradford goes down. Sack. Cameron Wembley, brought in this year in a trade with the Cleveland Browns, comes up with the first sack of the day.
Watch Cameron Wembley working against Jason Brown, the first rounder from last week, and that's where Cameron Wembley's at his best, with his hand in the ground. He gets around Jason Smith, and look at the coverage. Nnamdi Asomugha and Michael Huff double teaming Mark Clayton. And on the other side, the double moves, they aren't working when the pressure gets there.
A loss of 8. 3rd and long. 3rd and 15 to be exact. Here comes pressure by the Raiders. They bring it. They've got 2 free, and that's an easy sack. Tyvon Branch got there first from the safety position.
Very interesting. Sam Bradford said it. This is a team that typically comes with a 4-man rush, but right away, I don't care how poised you are, you're a rookie quarterback on your first start on the road. They bring both safeties, Huff and Tyvon Branch, off the corners and get pressure to Sam Bradford right away.
So that brings on Donnie Jones. He'll be punting away to Johnny Lee Higgins. Seeing the number 1 and 2 punters in the NFL right now. Higgins with an initial nice move. He's still going. Higgins is out the 8. 1 man to beat. Jones saves the touchdown. 54-yard punt. 53-yard return.
Ronnie Dominique Curry, Marty Gilliard we're seeing here, but on the other side, it's Dominique Curry, who just got activated this week, was deactive in week 1. A special team stand-up, you got to make tackles in space. That's the NFL. You better make plays when you have the opportunity. Dominique Curry fails to do so, and Johnny Lee Higgins and the Oakland Raiders take advantage of it.
Jones did his job on the punt. The coverage team did not. McFadden's been running well behind his pads, trying to get outside, can't quite turn the corner. But he picks up 4. Jason Campbell, brought in a trade with the Washington Redskins in April this past season. He is a vertical, strong-arm quarterback. Actually set a lot of records back there with the Redskins that have gone unnoticed. But the Raiders knew about it. They'll make the change at the center spot. They'll go with Samson Sartelli. And there's a throw outside. That's complete to Darius Hayward-Bay. First-round pick last year out of Maryland. Fletcher on the coverage. Defensively, the Rams are beat up. They've had injuries at the linebacking crew and in the secondary. Could affect their depth. Of course, Chris Long, son of former Raider great Howie Long. The linebacking crew, Laurinaitis, the top tackler. The secondary, it'll be patchwork. Atagwe will make a lot of plays. 1st and 10, and McFadden almost broke through. Laurinaitis on the tackle again.
Ron, if there was a positive in week 1 for these Oakland Raiders as they went to Tennessee, it was the running and the receiving of Darren McFadden. This is a guy who was a highly drafted guy back in the 08 draft. He hasn't really materialized. He showed a lot of juice. He showed a lot of explosion. They're very excited about it and look for them to wear him out today.
Picked up a 4. 2nd and 6. They'll keep it on the ground. McFadden with a cut. And the Rams say they have the football. They come up with it. But the officials spot it at about the 6-yard line. And Tony Corrente says down by contact. A pick up a 5 on the play.
We mentioned earlier running behind his pads.
As reported eligible, 69.
Head coach Tom Cable It's something that we noticed in the film. When I played against Darren McFadden, he was a tall runner. He gave you a lot of surface. I love playing against him. He's running lower. He's running with more explosion, and it's got these Oakland Raider fans excited.
3rd and short. McFadden again. McFadden. See how they mark it. The pile pushes him back. He may have gotten the nose of that ball across the line. Let's see. Laurinaitis in on the tackle.
Darren McFadden's going to run behind Langston Walker, Cooper Carlisle, and it appears as if he's got that first down. Needs to get to the 6-yard line.
They're coming in for the measurement. McFadden with 150 yards of total offense last week against Tennessee. They are short. You see there by inches.
Real nice job by James Laurinaitis. You'll see him a lot. This guy is all over the field. 140 tackles in his rookie year. He feels like he's been able to take it to another level this year. Knows the defense better, but this guy is a football player. He'll be all over the field today.
Raiders came with an unbalanced offensive line look. Maybe they'll take the tackle and flop him over to the other side and occasion bring an extra line, but this is 4th and inches. A quick give to the fullback. He didn't get it. They tried to sneak it to Marcel Reese, but Craig Dahl, the strong safety, came around the corner and shut down the attempt.
And Tom Cable's telling the officials he was trying to call timeout. He was on the field trying to get a timeout, did not like the look, and you see why as Craig Dahl.
There's an illegal formation on the offense. Number 70 on the line of scrimmage was uncovered by an eligible receiver. This penalty will be declined. St. Louis will take over on downs. First down.
Well, Tom Cable is saying he tried to call timeout. Meanwhile, the Raiders get popped for an illegal formation. John Lynch will sort it all out when we come back. So it looked as though the Raiders were going to go right down the field on the great return by Higgins and score, but they get shut down, and there's a...
What's up, Raider Nation? I'm the Commish. Thank you for joining us on another Black Friday on Raider Reaction. Tonight we're going back in our time machine, our silver and black time machine to 2010. Lambs at Raiders. To get you ready for a little lamb feeding again on Monday night. So we're going to watch the Lambs lose tonight, and then we're going to watch them again lose on Monday. We're going to start and finish your weekend.
John, this is the healthy dose of Steven Jackson, as you talked about, that really the Raiders were maybe hoping they wouldn't see, but we're going to prepare for it either way.
Well, listen, the numbers last week were certainly skewed. They threw 55 times, a lot of those. 21 of, in fact, were in 2-minute situations, either at the end of the half or the end of the game. But you do not want to put your young quarterback, no matter how much confidence you have in him, in that situation on the road. Tom Cable was exactly right. Expect to see a lot of 39.
Pick up a 6 on that play. The screen, nice call, and plenty of daylight for Jackson. Jackson, another first down across the 40-yard line. Key block by the center, Jason Brown, a pickup of 17, now coming in chunks, the yardage for the Rams.
And you talk about a full dose of Steven Jackson. It doesn't just have to be handing the ball to him. Steven Jackson, a very proficient, excellent receiver as a running back. Throw the screen game to him. Steven Jackson, this guy's motivated for a great season, Ronnie. We sat down with him. He said, listen, about last week, it's not losing is losing. We need to learn how to win. He's going to try to make that happen today.
Jackson again, and Jackson is through. Jackson across the 50-yard line, finally brought down by Michael Huff.
Steven Jackson, the ball carrier, hit by number 24, Michael Huff.
Talk about Steven Jackson. This is a guy who this year, we sat down with him in week 1. He told us he bulked up to 240 pounds this offseason to handle the load. This guy's an old school back. We talked to him, do you need a number 2? A lot of people are upset that they didn't bring what they feel to be a competent number 2 to complement compliment Steven Jackson. He said, hey, I'm old school. Give me every carry I can get. As you see, Kenneth Darby check in for Steven Jackson.
A pickup of 8 on that last run by Jackson. He takes a break. This is Darby. Darby will pound inside. He'll go for the first down. Looks as though he picked it up. Going back to Jackson, led the NFC last year in rushing with over 1,400 yards. Came into this game only 539 rush yards behind Eric Dickerson for the franchise record. This is a guy that had surgery for the herniated disc last year, John, and really played 4 or 5 games banged up, but still went over the grand mark. And Darby will stay in. Got to be a play action coming soon. There it is. Looking for the deep comeback, and out come the markers. Trying to get the ball to Mark Clayton, who was brought in a trade from Baltimore last week.
Illegal contact, defense, number 26. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Stanford route.
And when you get a heavy dose of Steven Jackson, you know what happens? You get all these guys, 8 guys in the box. That means the guys outside have to win their battles. And Sam Bradford with the play action. You got 8 guys in. Trust your receivers outside. And let's watch Stanford route with the contact. Illegal contact to be sure, maybe even a hold out there by Stanford route. Mark Clayton has been an excellent addition for the St. Louis Rams early this season.
Jackson checks back in. Play action to Jackson going deep. Wide open outside. What a catch by Daniel Fells. Still juggling the ball and takes it down to about the 5-yard line. Fells slow to get up.
Share it up, Raider Nation. Share it up if you're watching the show. Share it to a group. Share it to a friend. Invite a friend. It's Black Friday. Everybody should watch the Raiders whoop up on some lambs.
We'll check on Fells when we come back.
Make sure you check out our sponsors, Angry at Trask Podcast, Just Win Ladies, wherever podcasts can be found, as well as share to the Raider Reaction page.
Walks off the field under his own power. Darcy Johnson.
Raider Nation Rings and Flags Facebook page. They got crazy contests, all kinds of Raider swag over there. Check it out.
Go back to the previous
Captain Jack Rackham's page, featuring his Thursday night and Sunday night show as the captain.
Fingertip catch, good ball.
Watch his head though.
Unbelievable concentration bringing the ball, and you don't want to watch. Oh boy, he is very lucky that he walked off the field.
And the Rams already low on tight ends. Manalainui injured last week. They come into this game with 3 tight ends. That's Jackson inside. A pickup of 1.
And you mentioned all the injuries, Ron. A lot of role players, not necessarily household names, but the Rams, who are a rebuilding team to start with, they've lost a lot of guys this week in practice. You mentioned Malainui. I got that out.
Very nice.
But this guy was a really productive football player that they were really going to entrust a lot in this offense. Now you lose Daniel Fells. The injuries continue to mount for the Rams.
9th play of the drive, 3rd and goal. 2 tight ends in for the Rams. Pressure. Sack. Why not throw the ball out of the end zone? They take the sack. That's Lamar Houston, the 2nd-round pick out of Texas.
Lamar Houston finishes the sack, but this is what you call a coverage sack. They set up the picket fence right around the line of scrimmage. There's nowhere for Sam Bradford to go, and Sam Bradford, the more games he plays in this league, sometimes the best throw is no throw. Throw it out of bounds. Do not take the loss. Fortunately for them, they're still within field goal range, but you got to throw that ball away.
36 yards out now for Josh Brown. He's pushing it. He's pushing it. It's gone. So the loss of 13 yards on the sack undoubtedly made the difference for Josh Brown and the chip shot. So in spite of the big plays, just like last week for the Rams, they come away with no points. 0-0 here in the first.
Raiders at 26.
10 plays, 76 yards. A key sack, no points. Ram fans have seen this before, like last week. Bradford has already been sacked 3 times, and we're not even out of the first quarter. The quick toss, McFadden's got a lane. And McFadden with a nice run on first down. Almost out of there for a huge one.
Call of the game of 13, first and 10 at the 39.
And there's a look.
Look at the end of that drive. That's what the St. Louis Rams have to be able to do. You've got to finish drives.
Going deep. Intended for Hayward Bay, but broken up nicely by Bradley Fletcher.
Ronnie, back to my point. You look at that last Rams drive. Great drive. You run the ball. You execute the play action. You take the ball 70 yards down the field, you got to finish drives. If you're Sam Bradford, you got to throw it. And if you're the kicker, Josh Brown, you've got to be able to kick a 36-yard field goal. Those are the things it takes to be able to win and finish games.
Pressure on the 2nd and 10, but wide open down the field is Lewis Murphy. So the Raiders unleashing a little bit of their pass. That's the vertical passing game. They missed it on the left side, they tried on the right side, and they got it.
Watch Lewis Murphy working against Ron Bartell. Ron Bartell, you got to help your safety out. If you're going to be playing that half, you better get some hands on that receiver. Slow him up. Give Craig Tall a little time. Ron Bartell with his eyes in the backfield. Do your job first. Get your hands on receiver. Slow him up for the safety. Lewis Murphy with an easy pitch and catch from Jason Campbell.
Murphy, second leading receiver for the Raiders last year with 34 catches. And McFadden has gotten it going today. That's going to be close to 8 or 9 yards. The Rams struggling and rush defense last year, ranked 27, and clearly the Raiders know it.
One of the points that Tom Cable, the head coach of the Raiders, made to us was at Tennessee, we got away from the run way too quick. We need to run, we need to run, we need to run. He talked about his influence, Alex Gibbs, the great offensive line coach of the Denver Broncos and Atlanta Falcons. They coach together at Atlanta. Tom Cable believes in the run. So does Hugh Jackson, their offensive coordinator. Expect to see a lot of it today.
McFadden, 6 carries for 35 yards. He's averaging 5.8 yards a crack. Across the middle, drop. That ball almost intercepted twice. Fletcher hit him right in the chest.
Ron, we talk about finishing. Well, it stands for both sides of the ball. Bradley Fletcher, you're going to make a nice break on the ball. You're going to undercut, but you got to catch the ball. There was a situation like that with Ron Bartell last week versus Arizona. You want to win football games, you have to finish in this league. And that's what the St. Louis Rams, frankly, don't do right now.
3rd and 1. That ball intended for Hayward Bay. Runner on the right side, cut down quickly. Nice play there by Fred Robbins, brought in as a free agent. Let's go to Los Angeles for this quick game update. Here's
down 35-17 at one point. The Lions tried to come back in their home opener against the Eagles. Sean Hill to Calvin Johnson. And this time they counted as a touchdown. They get a 2-point conversion and the onside kick. Detroit with the ball, down 3, a minute and a half to go. Ron and John?
Boy, he still got rid of the ball kind of quick. Out now from Janikowski. And he pushes this one to the left. So 2 kicks by opposing kickers, both misses. That one a little longer than the shot by Brown. But again, the theme seems to be for both teams, John. A lot of action, a lot of puffing stuff, no points. Raider head coach Tom Cable discussing things with his staff, and a push. Looks like Jay Alford went a little early. Maybe he was drawn off. Tony Corrente will let us know.
Encroachment, defense number 94. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
The talk all week around the Raider facility is last week's game against Tennessee, where things got out of control quick and ended bad for them, 38-13. That was just a setback, something that we could take care of. They thought they'd come out here and punch the Rams out rather quickly, but they haven't been able to stop that man. For starters, that's Jackson, and Jackson is running all through the Raider defense. He's getting yardage in gashes. That's 23 yards.
You got to really credit his offensive line. He's running through some big holes. This Raiders defense, one of the things they tried to address this offseason
of the first quarter
is the rush defense. They haven't done a good job of it, clearly, as you see Steven Jackson running right through the Raiders defense.
That's the end of the first. Fox and Phil Sunday will continue after a word from your local Fox station. So Jackson hammering the Raiders up front. 8 carries, 56 yards. He's getting them in chunks. 13 yards, 23 yards. Tries the left side. He gets a gang of black to try to slow him down. Picks up 3 for a Seattle-Denver update. Let's go on to Los Angeles. Kurt Menefee.
Well, the Seahawks muffed a punt at the 13-yard line, and Denver took advantage. 3 plays later, Eddie Royal rolls into the end zone. Touchdown pass from Kyle Orton. They needed 7-0, just reaching the end of the first quarter. Ron and John.
All right, of course, Raider fans hoping for a Seattle win there to help their cause in the AFC West Division. 2nd down and 7. Pressure. The quick throw wide open as Carney got stuck and couldn't get unstuck at the line of scrimmage.
I think it's very clear early, Ron. Last week you watched the film versus Tennessee, and the Raiders sat back and relied on 4-man pressure. They're bringing people. Quentin Groves coming off the corner. Wimberly coming off the corner. Trevor Scott, Tommy Kelly. They're bringing people on Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford does a good job of getting the ball out of his hand and getting a couple positive yards, putting them in a manageable 3rd down situation.
3rd and 6. Floats it out to Jackson. Jackson trying to turn the corner. He does. 1 man to beat. Tripped up inside the 10-yard line by Rout. Rout may have saved the touchdown. Pickup of 24 yards once again. Jackson killing the Raiders.
We're talking about the pressure the Raiders were bringing. Again, they come off the corner. Stanford Rout comes on a nickel blitz off the corner, but it's Rolando McClain. You're one-on-one with Steven Jackson. Arm tackles aren't going to work on that big boy, Rolando. Rolando McClain, a heck of a player I've been very impressed with, but you cannot arm tackle Steven Jackson. The Rams are doing a nice job of going to their best player right now. Now let's see if they can finish this time.
It's a 1st and goal. The toss, looking cut back. Not there. Nice penetration there by Lamar Houston. Kelly cleans him up on the tackle. Jackson, the most consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards rushing since coming into this year. 5. That leads it over Thomas Jones, Frank Gore, and Adrian Peterson. Second and goal. Plenty of time. Throw, catch, touchdown, Rams. Mark Clayton.
You run Steven Jackson, you run Steven Jackson, you run Steven Jackson. People start getting a little nosy. The safeties start coming up the line of scrimmage. Mark Clayton, these receivers can get behind. There's seams in the coverage. Great execution by the St. Louis Rams. And they finally finish a drive. That will make Steve Spagnuolo very happy.
The first touchdown as a St. Louis Ram for Mark Clayton. So the rookie quarterback stays poised, goes down the field with the help, a lot of help, of Jackson, and finally puts points on the board, 7-0 early here in the 2nd quarter.
And Rolando McClain, the very impressive rookie linebacker, is going to get taken to school on this drive. He misses a tackle earlier on. He says, I'm going to go get Steven Jackson. When you get a little nosy, what are they going to do? They're going to drop it right behind you, and Mark Clayton cashes in on a touchdown.
Short kick by Brown to Kobe Ford. Ford past the 20, then goes backwards. Nice hustle by Craig Dahl. Steven Jackson, 51 yards. Total offense on that last drive. 7-zip Rams. look at the scoring drive by the Rams. As we said earlier, Jackson helped it an awful lot on that drive, capped off with a touchdown catch by Clayton. Play action pass, 1st and 10. Pressure. Looking for a man. A flag goes down and a drop in and out of the hands of Murphy. That could be holding. Jared Valdir has gone over to the left tackle spot, subbing for Mario Henderson. He was working on Hall.
Holding, offense, number 68. 10-yard penalty, remains 1st down.
Well, after last week at Tennessee, Tom Cable said we've got to play better at the offensive tackle position. They put Jared Valdir, who started at center last week, at his natural position, left tackle, and James Hall runs right through him. They've got to play better. He talked about giving them help. He tried to put Valdir there. They haven't had luck with Valdir. They haven't had luck with Mario Henderson. They've got to find something to protect Jason Campbell and give him some time.
On the penalty, 1st and 20, and a big hit in the backfield. Chris Long coming across the line of scrimmage and laying wood. No gains on the play.
You know, if you're just looking at early returns, the move over to left end has been a very positive one for Chris Long. We've seen him in the opposing team's backfield against Arizona. Early here today on the big 4th down play. Chris Long is much more comfortable at that left end spot, and it's showing on the field.
They didn't even bother to block him. He read the down. Put the running back down. The dump off. Reese comes within about a yard or 2 of the 1st down. Well, this week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the pennant race continues to heat up as the Red Sox look to keep their playoff hopes alive as they take on the Yankees. In a showdown between 2 of baseball's biggest rivals, or the AL Central League, you Reds taking on the Padres in a possible playoff preview. Coverage of Fox Saturday Baseball begins this week at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, right here on Fox.
Let's go, Padres.
A pickup of 19. Didn't I see him watering down the infield before the game, John?
You did. He's old school. Baseball field early in the season.
31. Quick throw. You can bet that man won't drop it. That's Zach Miller, the leading receiver last year at tight end. He'll convert with a 15-yard pickup. Let's go to Los Angeles for this update with Kurt Menefee.
Redskins hosting the Houston Texans. Matt Schaub hooking up with Jacoby Jones for 5-yard score. And Houston jumps out in front for the first time today. 7-6, but it's very early in the second. Ron?
Going deep, looking for Bay. And it's incomplete. Fletcher running stride for stride. Maybe Bay had a half stride on it, but it's overthrown.
That's exactly what the Oakland Raiders want. You've got a speed guy, a track guy, and Darius Hayward-Bay. Steve Spagnuolo noted it. He said, we've got to be careful when we bring our pressure because of their speed. Tom Cable said we've got a great plan for their pressure, and that was it. Hit Hayward-Bay and Lewis Murphy deep. Jason Campbell misfires a little, had an opportunity there.
Second and 10, they'll go back to the ground game. That's the fullback, Marcel Reese. But a marker goes down. I think it went off before he even got the ball. Tony Corrente and his crew talk it over.
Now, I think it's really interesting, Ron. We talked about in the open, the Raiders really wanted to go into attack mode. You see it throw the deep ball, but you've seen the pace of play. They're going a lot of no-huddle, getting up to the line of scrimmage. I think trying to put some energy into this offense that really, as Jason Campbell said, just felt flat last week at Tennessee.
There is no foul for illegal formation. The play stands.
So Tony Corrente says there is no foul for the illegal formation. And the Raiders will use an awful lot of unbalanced line. We touched on it earlier. They'll bring in an extra offensive lineman and then flip the tight end over on the other side, hoping people don't recognize it and line up their run strengths the wrong way.
He's a former player. He's shifting the line one gap, and it can create a lot of confusion. That's exactly what the Raiders are looking for when they run that unbalanced line.
3rd down and 6. Campbell chasing. No place to go for Campbell, but he does it by himself. He'll scramble for the Raiders' first down, a pickup of 9.
When you talk to Steve Spagnuolo, he said one of the reasons we want to be careful not to pressure too much was the mobility of Jason Campbell. Sometimes you bring pressure, you lose gap integrity on your pass rush. Jason Campbell exposes that, gets outside of Fred Robbins, and scrambles for a first down.
First and 10, gun formation. The dump down. McFadden. Just across, just inside the Rams' 40-yard line.
Well, as impressive as he was running the football last week, Darren McFadden was just as impressive as a wide receiver out of the backfield. Caught 6 balls for 55 yards, and that's kind of been the MO thus far. Send everybody downfield, clear it out, get the ball to a great guy in Darren McFadden in space and let him do some work.
3 yards. Rams bring down 8 men in the box. Thought they were going to get a run. They get a quick screen. That's the fullback. Reese is chopped down. Nice play by Bradley Fletcher from the cornerback spot. And Reese is slow to get up.
Ron, we've done the Rams enough that when Steve Spagnuolo says we've got to be careful about our pressure, you really don't trust him. Pressure is in his nature. He grew up as a young coach in Philadelphia under Jim Johnson. That's what they do. They bring pressure, and you can count on it anytime you see St. Louis play that the pressure, the blitz package is going to be coming.
8 years as a defensive assistant under Jim Johnson, the late Jim Johnson. Learned how to bring the pressure, brought that pressure to New York, and won a Super Bowl with it.
Number 66, 5-yard penalty remains, third down.
That's Cooper Carlisle, the right guard.
And when you bring the pressure, those offensive linemen, it's tough for them to hold the water. They see Larry Grant coming off the corner, Chris Long stunting down. They've had a lot of issues, the Raiders have. They really thought that it was the center last week, Jared Valdir, in his first start on the road. But they've had trouble just executing the simple center-quarterback exchange. A lot of false starts and lack of discipline with a lot of penalties for this offensive line.
Third down, they'll call timeout. Talk about it. Raiders trying to get in scoring position. See, the penalties killed the Raiders last year, and it started off the same way last week, just unacceptable in Tom Cable's mind. And 3 of those 4 penalties today are on the offensive line. 3rd and 10, pressure on the outside. Laurinaitis with the key sack. So Laurinaitis on the blitz, and they don't pick it up, and it's a loss of yardage and time to punt for the Raiders.
You look at the numbers, they're going to present a lot of numbers, but James Laurinaitis, if you're going to be an offensive line, you better protect that inside gap. It's the closest way to the quarterback. James Laurinaitis gets there before Zach Miller, the tight end in the backfield, can get to him. And James Laurinaitis with a heck of a play for the St. Louis Rams defense.
So last year's #1 punter in the NFL try to kill this one inside the 10, and he does, thanks to the fair catch by Amendola. Still 7-zip, Rams.
Well, we told you in the open, Tom Cable talked about it. They expected to see a lot of Steven Jackson today. Well, knowing that Steven Jackson is coming and stopping him are 2 different things. The Raiders have not been able to do it. And when you get a heavy dose of Steven Jackson, it set up the touchdown to Mark Clayton. And you see more of Steven Jackson right away.
Excuse me, John, and here's a chance for the Raider defense. The worst starting field position of the day for the Rams is they give to Jackson. And he tries to give them some breathing room. But you talk about a young quarterback. Sam Bradford, 6 for 6, 98 yards and a touchdown. He couldn't be more efficient.
6 for 6, that's about as good as you can get.
Rams clearly not afraid to put the game in his hands. They've done that. And they put the game in that man's hands. And the Raiders understand now they've got to get in his jock and stay in it. No yards on the play. Let's go to Los Angeles for this update.
A wild but fun play for the Denver Broncos, at least. No, Sean Moreno takes the pitch, gives it back to Kyle Orton. Orton hooking up with Eddie Royal for a 34-yard pass play, set up a 1-yard Corral Buckholzer score. Denver leads Seattle 14-0 in the second. Ron and John.
So the Seahawks feeling their Cheerios after that first win at home against the 49ers. Not the same love this week. Kenneth Darby checks in for Jackson. 3rd and 7. Bradford looking, lets it go. Intended for Fells, but out of bounds, and that'll bring on the punt team for the Rams.
We talked about the pressure. Look at all these guys up there. It's Trevor Scott. It's Jay Alford, and Rolando McClain comes to finish it off. And smart decision by Sam Bradford. Sometimes you just have to throw the ball away, punt. You've got a good punter, live to see another down, and Sam Bradford makes a good decision there, throwing the ball out of bounds and allowing the Rams just to punt the football and play the field position game.
First 3 and out for either team. That was Daniel Fells late getting on the field. He had gone out for a pass. He went off the sideline, walked to the sideline. That ball nearly blocked. A tough punt to catch. And wisely, Higgins gets away from it. And it takes a Raider bounce back to the 43-yard line. A marker goes down late. Tony Corrente threw it. Here he is with an explanation.
It's a personal foul, shot block, kicking team. This 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. Raiders ball, first down.
That will be tacked on to the end of the play, pushing the Raiders closer to the end zone. .534 here in the first half. The Rams will try to keep the Raiders out. The penalty yardage tacked on there at the end for the illegal chop block. And there's McFadden. McFadden with at least 5 or 6. The National League pennant race is heading for an amazing finish, and this October, the 4 best teams will collide in a month of games filled with drama, excitement, and thrills to see which team will advance to the World Series. Coverage of baseball's postseason returns October 16th with the NLCS, followed by the World Series, and only here on Fox. Pickup of 6 by McFadden, 2nd and 4. ReACTIon got a little time looking for the crosser. That ball high. That might be an unnecessary hit. There it is. They're going to pop Craig Dahl. Intended for Lewis Murphy. And John, you've been in that position many a times. I got to go to you on this. How hard is it to hold off in that situation?
It's very hard. You're going after the football, but this one, as we listen to Tony
Personal
Corrente.
foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, helmet contact to the receiver. This penalty be assessed half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Boy, he didn't try to drive through him. He didn't take him to the ground. It's one of those calls, but...
And you know what it is? It's gotten to the point, and it's tough for these guys playing the safety position. But I don't think that had anything to do with the helmet, as Tony Corrente said. That was just simply late. The ball was overthrown. 10 years ago, that's legal. That's fine. These days, you may not like it, but that's just the way they're playing the game. And you got to know that as a safety. It's a tough situation, though, for those guys.
John, you've gotten that yellow envelope a couple times for popping guys in there. You know what it's all about. It's very well covered. Khalid Barnes listed as eligible as a tackle. They'll hand it off. McFadden takes the hit, takes on a man. That was Eugene Sims, but no gain on the play. Let's go down to Los Angeles. Kurt Menefee with an update.
No surprise, Patriots and Jets scoreless in the second, and no surprise that Wes Welker catches it for a 6-yard score from Tom Brady to untie it. Right now, in the second quarter, New England up 7-0. Ron and John.
The Jets humbled after last week's loss to Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens. 2nd and 10. Rams bringing pressure. Man-to-man on the outside. Eckler didn't have a chance. Clearly the pressure got to Campbell. Niall Diggs brought some of that pressure.
Ron, if you're the Oakland Raiders right now, offensive coordinator Hugh Jackson, if you're Jason Campbell, You're getting the pressure, but the important thing here, not a bad throw. You got the pressure, throw it out of bounds. The important thing is that you put points on the board. It's too early. Yes, Steven Jackson's been running down the field. The score is 7-0. Stay in the game. If these Raiders stay in the game, they're okay. The stats dictate that.
Right, 3rd and 10. Pressure, ball's loose. Recovered by the Raiders. James Hall came around the corner and got a clean swat. He's working on Jared Valdir, the rookie 3rd-round pick out of Hillsdale College.
You put a young rookie at left tackle, his first game at left tackle in the NFL, and an old veteran in James Hall. James Hall just works his hands, gets to Jason Campbell. Not only the sack, but a sack fumble. And the Oakland Raiders very fortunate that Jared Valdir at least followed it up and fell on the ball, giving Sebastian Janikowski an opportunity at the field goal.
Janikowski pushed the last one to the left from 38 yards out. This one is true. So the Raiders not able to handle the Rams' pressure, but they do at least get points off the drive. The Raiders have had the ball inside the 11-yard line twice, but only 3 points to show for it. You look at Campbell's numbers there. I know you look at the film. I know they looked at the film and said, okay, well, we're going to have to deal with the Rams' pressure that they brought against Arizona early, but I don't know that they believe that they would bring it like they brought it this early.
Well, they brought it because they've gained confidence that they can hang with these wide receivers outside and that they can take advantage of this Oakland Raiders offensive line that's just been awful in the first 2 games. They've got to find an answer, the Oakland Raiders, at the offensive line position.
Line drive shot, Gilliard, and Gilliard out to the 27-yard line.
Watch Jason Campbell throughout the day. He's been under duress. And when he hasn't been under duress, they can't complete on the ball downfield. He's had a couple opportunities for the Rams that they could have caught the interceptions. He's been under pressure. James Laurinaitis brings him down there. James Hall there. The offensive line for the Oakland Raiders quite simply just has to play better. You've got to give the guy time to try to make plays downfield.
They moved Jared Valdir from the fire into the incinerator. They took him from center and put him out at left tackle. I don't know if James Hall thought that was an insult, but Hall is playing like it was. And is. 1st and 10, run to Jackson. Jackson has been slowed up a little bit. He started off on fire, just gashing the Raiders. Gets 3 there. But this guy was a workhorse, and what I like the most about what Jackson did last year, and I'm not talking about his huge numbers going over the 1,400-yard rushing mark, he did it and didn't complain one time about what was going on at that team, a 1-15 season.
And this is a guy I had a great deal of respect for when I played against him because of the way he played a game, but covering them last year, 1-15 team, he just kept plodding and kept plodding to 1,400 yards.
2nd and 7, a quick throw to Amendola. Amendola makes a juke, then hit hard by Tyvon Branch. Ron Pitts along with John Lynch. And John, this is the type of game that, you know, the Rams thought that they would get the Raiders' best shot. I don't know if the Raiders thought they would get the Rams' best shot.
Well, they're getting the Rams' best shot. And what the Rams have to do, again, they have to capitalize on these opportunities. You're running the ball up and down the field. You're moving the ball. Turn it into touchdowns and put a team away. That's what the process of learning how to win encompasses. I've been there before with Tampa. You've got to learn how to put people away.
3rd and 4. Play is stopped.
This is
2-minute warning.
the 2-minute warning.
7-3, key 3rd down in the first half coming up for both teams. Third and 4, Bradford working on 7 completions to 6 different receivers. 3rd and 4. There's another one, Amendola, 1st down Rams. Andy gets out of bounds. Working on a route.
And Danny Amendola, you know, they got this guy off the practice squad from Philadelphia last year. This guy has turned into a very good football player. You watch him, and everyone makes the comparisons to Wes Welker. I don't know if he's quite as good as Wes Welker, but this guy is a football player who, in that slot, is a very tough cover. And when you've got an accurate thrower like Sam Bradford, those two can be a weapon for a long time to come for St. Louis.
This is the point of the game last week, John, against Arizona. Things got a little sticky for the Rams. Some questions regarding clock management, game management. What a catch inside. A marker goes down, but LaRon Robinson comes up with the circus catch. It may be coming back. The ball thrown, flag thrown in the area of the offensive line. Let's make sure. Could be going the other way.
Pass interference, offense, number 16. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
Got a push off on Amendola. Don't see that called very often.
Watch Danny Amendola right here. He's going to try to run interference. Well, let's just call it a pick. And he does the job. And Danny Amendola, you got to sell it a little better. That bump and run of the Oakland Raiders up in your face. And the referee's on the spot there with a good call on Amendola.
So that pushes it back to a 1st and 20. Amendola did the little stop in and come back out, and ball just out of reach.
Sam Bradford's pass intended for his wide receiver, number 16, Danny Amendola.
So Bradford coming in with the 2 preseason starts, took over for A.J. Feely in the 2nd preseason game. A.J. Feely hurt his thumb. They said, Bradford, get in there, it's yours. And it was kind of a convenient transition, although ultimately, as everyone knows, it would have been Bradford's job, but it gave the hands a chance to get the kids some experience right off the bat. Play action, 2nd and 20, looking downtown, checks it down to Jackson. Jackson is clipped on the knee by Asamoah, pick up a 4. Asamoah slow to get up, and Jackson checking his knees.
Nnamdi Asamoah, a smart football player. You got that big boy coming at you. You're going to go low.
Smart.
Sam Bradford with the play action. And Lamar Houston puts a big hit. Those hits start to add up. And Sam Bradford, as they call timeout on the field, Sam Bradford has had plenty of time. We just showed a graphic. 21 of his 55 throws last week versus Arizona were in the 2-minute drill. It's always a worry of a young coach. How's my young quarterback going to do in a 2-minute drill? Nnamdi Asamoah feels the effects of hitting Steven Jackson. But Sam Bradford has had plenty of time in this 2-minute drill. Watch the end of this play. Nnamdi Asamoah is going to go low on Steven Jackson.
He didn't even hit him. Asamoah, the league's highest paid corner. You can ask Darrelle Revis about that. He limps off under his own power. That's good news. Coming up, it's the Visa Halftime Report. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy with all the scores and highlights from around the league, and the Fox Sports ticker has the up-to-the-second scores and stats. That's a Visa Halftime Report. Jimmy Johnson had a great segment this morning talking about game management, clock management, and how it really needs to come from the head coach because the coordinators are in score and anti-score mode. 3rd and 13. Jeremy Ware checks in for Asamoah. Markers go down. That's Darby. Carney lost his lid.
False start, offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
That's on the rookie 2nd-round pick, Roger Saffold.
Now you look at the end of this play, Nnamdi Asamoah, heck of a football player, but you young kids at home playing football, hit what you see. I tell my young son all the time, you got to hit what you see. Nnamdi Asamoah right there goes without any arms. You hit a big boy like that, you're going to get hurt. Get down there, bring your arms, run right through him, and it won't hurt as bad.
And above all,
and you'll stay healthy. To all you young kids at home, that's how you get hurt.
3rd down draw. Darby getting pinballed in there. Finally goes down, so a dismal series of downs there for the Rams. And we just talked about the management there. But nothing went well for the Rams on that series. Everything went well for the Raiders, and the Raiders are going to get the ball back. A timeout called by the Raiders.
The Raiders, look at our Fox box, have one timeout going into this last drive with 1:33 on the clock. Plenty of time for the Raiders to get down and put some more points on the board.
So, John, we're going to get a chance to see kind of what Jimmy Johnson was talking about in the pregame show on the other side of the ball now for the Raiders, as they call a timeout, have one left, 7-3 game, 1:33 left. Plenty of time to go down and get a score.
Particularly with the weapon you have in Sebastian Janikowski. His range is incredible as a field goal kicker.
Jones with a nice punt. Higgins will try the left, then he'll go down. Greg Dahl has been very active on special teams. 51-yard shot by Jones, no return by Higgins. In the Visa halftime report, we're going to cover some of the early game headliners. The Eagles had to fight for one in Detroit. Jason Snelling with some big numbers filling in for Michael Turner, who injured a groin earlier in that game.
Michael Vick really trying to make it a quarterback controversy. Andy Reid has stood by his man, and Kevin Colbin says next week he'll be back in the... Kevin Cobb says next week he'll be back in the lineup, but Michael Vick doing everything he can to stake his claim to that starting quarterback position.
Raiders put Henderson back at the left tackle spot. Boy, that's just a give up. No place to go.
There's no foul.
And no penalty there. He was inside the tackle box, but was able to throw the ball back in the area of a quick screen throw. That's legal. Intended for McFadden.
And O.J. Atogwe, you're going to watch him come into the screen late on the pressure, diagnose the screen. Atogwe right there on Darren McFadden. And what does a smart Stanford football player do? You hold up the screen and you give them no place to throw. Good job by O.J. Atogwe, who's having a heck of a year here early on for the Rams.
So is your former alma mater, Stanford. They're having a heck of a year. 2nd and 10. Pressure ball's loose. Recovers his own fumble. Judge Campbell just gets beyond the line of scrimmage.
Timeout.
And a timeout by the Rams.
St. Louis, this is their first.
And here we're talking about the Raiders having plenty of time with 1:33, one timeout to get down the field. Well, if you cannot give your quarterback time, Jason Campbell, I mean, he's getting hit all over, and you're trying to get the ball downfield. There's simply not time for Jason Campbell to do that right now.
And John, I don't think it matters who the Raiders put at left tackle. Nobody seems to be able to block James Hall. James Hall making the contact there that jarred Campbell and forced the ball loose, but they've gone back and forth between Henderson and Beldier, and no matter what you do, it's the same result. They're without Gallery at the left guard spot. That hasn't been the issue thus far.
And you're trying to slow down the rush. You saw the screen, the play before. That's an attempt to slow down the rush, but you got to give them help. You got to keep a tight end. You got to chip with backs. Tom Cable said he would do it. He's trying. It's just not happening for this Raiders offensive line right now.
Gallery out with a pulled hamstring, trying to chase down a play last week in Tennessee. 3rd and 8. Check down. That's Miller. Miller shy of the first down, but runs a man over and picks up the first down. So Zach Miller showing why in many people's eyes he's probably a Pro Bowl tight end. Picks up 10 and keeps the drive alive.
That's the kind of a play that can turn around, give the team momentum. Just straight will by Zach Miller. Terrific job of fighting for the first down and converting upon it.
One timeout left for the Raiders. He's across the line. He's got to go now. And go he does right out of bounds. He'll be about 2 yards shy of the first. 35 seconds left.
You're going to watch Zach Miller on the previous play. Jason Campbell looks downfield. It's not there. He checks down. Sometimes you got to make people miss, and you got to fight for yards, and that's exactly what Zach Miller does. Zach Miller, a very good football player, very underrated football player in this league, and the Raiders appreciate his contributions. Jason Campbell told us, man, people do not know how good this guy is and what a weapon it is for Jason Campbell.
8 yards on the scramble, 2nd and 2. The duck down, that's McFadden will have the easy first. He gets out of bounds. Pick up a 5.
The one thing that Jason Campbell gives the Oakland Raiders, remember, they just went through the disaster of Jamarcus Russell, and mistakes would seem to compound themselves. Jason Campbell's been under duress all day, but he hangs tough. He hangs patient in that pocket and says, all right, if it's not downfield, I'll check it down. They move the chains, and that's what you need to do in 2-minute drills. Continue to move the chains. Again, you've got a weapon in Sebastian Janikowski.
Pumping, looking for the crosser, goes the other way. Ill-advised throw, and is picked off by James Butler. He tried to force that one in the area of 3 Ram defenders intended for Louis Murphy, and the Bluebirds come out here in Oakland.
So much for my patience there. He tried to force that downfield, and that was the old play, the play we frankly started to win the Super Bowl on, the old sluggo seam. You try to fake the slant to the right side, and you're going to try to hit Louis Murphy on the seam route. And a good job by James Laurinaitis getting deep enough that forces Campbell to throw the ball over Laurinaitis, and James Butler delivers, showing great hands on the interception.
James Butler in a tight fight for the starting strong safety spot with Craig Dahl. Dahl ended up winning the job. That's a key play there by Butler. And a very nice drop that probably will go unnoticed by Laurinaitis. That's Jackson inside here as time will wind down in the first half.
Steve Spagnuolo very happy just to go to halftime with the 7-3 lead.
And that's how it will end up, 7-3. Low score, but things going the Rams' way. Fox NFL Sunday will continue. The Visa halftime report coming up. We start the third quarter here in Oakland, 7-3 Rams, a low-scoring affair. I think that's in the Rams' favor as we come up to the broadcast booth, and I think one of the things that the Raiders were most concerned about is coming into this game and, things being a low-scoring game, and they hang around, and that's what's happened.
Well, the Raiders have shown over the last couple of years, if they keep the game close, they usually win football games. So that's good news for the Raiders. But the second part of that, you got to find a way to protect your quarterback, and receivers on both sides got to wake up. Mike Shanahan used to say about wide receivers, if you can't win one-on-one matchups, you got to start selling cars. These wide receivers got to start making some plays, and some of that's the whole equation. You got to protect the passer as well.
And I think Bradford, once again, they are not afraid to give Sam Bradford the football and say, kid, go with it. Make your mistakes, make your big plays. Make something happen, and he has made something happen. Still a low-scoring affair, and that is in the Raiders' favor, considering how they played against Ford. Ford trying to get the ball just past the 15-yard line as you look at the first half numbers. So Bruce Gretkowski will come in at quarterback, and that's a quick trigger, a quick hook, so to speak. Jason Campbell out after a sluggish first half, and he made a couple mistakes, but not all of it is his fault. So Bruce Gretkowski, brought in last year on waivers from Cleveland, started 4 games, played in 7. He starts off with a completion, and that's Hayward Bank.
You can have Bruce Gretkowski, you can have Jason Campbell. The most important thing about that first snap, they finally started to try to help that offensive line. Quick throws, get the ball out of your hands. Don't give the Rams time to get to your quarterback. Nice execution by the Raiders coming right out of the bat, trying to get some momentum in their passing game.
Look at Gretkowski's numbers there as they give the ball to McFadden. They got away from that. McFadden started off running well. That time rounded up by Laurinaitis. Bruce Gretkowski, as you might remember, Originally a 6th-round pick with the Buccaneers, lasted 2 years down there, then went to Cleveland. Never really able to latch on any place, but we like his toughness around here, and he's one of those guys you say, what is he? Well, he's a gamer.
Yeah. Reminds me kind of in the Jeff Garcia mold, the guy who's going to move around, provide a lot of energy. Not a bad guy to bring in as a backup.
He's looking at his first third down today from the gun. 33 quick throw. Another completion, bobbled, but caught. And it's a Raider first down. That's Darius Hayward-Bay. Covered by Fletcher.
Very early, you see the adjustment that Tom Cable, Hugh Jackson, the offensive coordinator for the Raiders, is let's get the ball out of our quarterback's hands. Let's help these offensive linemen out. And they're doing a nice job of executing that. Now, if you're the Rams, they're going to go with the quick throws, get up in their face and challenge them so that they can't complete the quick throws.
Gronkowski with a strike. He's come in and been efficient. These completions, they'll get it on the ground. McFadden trying the right side, or the left side, excuse me. Will take it down close to the 35-yard line. A late marker. Murphy and Bartell got into it. That's Lewis Murphy, the 4th-round pick out of Southern Utah.
At the conclusion of the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 24. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Excuse me, that's Murphy out of Florida. They're working on Bartell, and the Raiders get a call in their favor.
Number 69 has reported as eligible. Number 69.
So the Raiders will check in with Khalif Barnes. Barnes a tackle, but will line up in an eligible position. Barnes is up top, playing the tight end spot. Center of the field, caught, and that was a laser. So Murphy does a little talking, and now does the walking, and walks close to the Rams' red zone. A pickup of 26 yards.
Well, those aren't boos. Those are calls of Bruce from the Oakland Raiders fans. And Bruce Gronkowski doing a nice job of coming in and establishing some rhythm. This is an offense that has been out of sync. But again, I go back for Jason Campbell. Jason Campbell didn't have that opportunity with the time. But the one thing Bruce Gronkowski doing is throwing the football on time. Get the ball out of your hands.
McFadden stopped up. And Gronkowski last season led the Raiders to victories over the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Passed for 308 yards and 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns in that big road win against Pittsburgh. But John, I think it comes down to it, and probably a good call by Tom Cable. And the guy you brought in here and paid a bunch of money to, he's not getting it done for whatever reason. Don't be afraid to make a change. 2nd down and 9. Pressure coming backside. Gronkowski doesn't see it. Somehow gets away from it out of the pocket and can safely throw that ball away without a penalty. James Hall was on the hook, but couldn't round him up. Terrell Scott was there as well.
James Hall, as he did all first half, is going to bring the pressure, but very nice job by Bruce Gronkowski of extending the play, and then sometimes you just have to throw the ball out of bounds and live to see another down. Now you've got 3rd and 10 as opposed to 3rd and 15, which is Gronkowski impressive here early on.
Gronkowski looking at a 3rd and 9. Hayward-Bay is up top. He's caught 2 this half already. Man-to-man over the shoulder, and it's knocked away. Nice coverage there by Fletcher. And Hayward-Bay says, where's the flag?
And Ronnie, you know the Rams are going to bring the pressure. You see Otagwe and Dahl coming with the pressure. Again, I said at the halftime, when you've got the pressure, it creates one-on-ones outside. You have to be able to win those matchups.
Bruce Gradkowski, very nice play by Bradley Fletcher there, but at some point, those receivers got to make plays downfield when they get those one-on-one matchups.
Another stalled drive, 41 yards to Janikowski. He pushed it left. 2 kicks ago, this one is true. So the Raiders answer with the help of a new quarterback, Bruce Gradkowski, 1-point game. And this is Raiderville outside the Coliseum here in Oakland. See all the kids having a good time. As long as you got a jumpy jump, a kid's going to have a good time down here. You already know that. Gilliard lowers his shoulder and pushes up to the 35-yard line. So the Rams with a chance to answer after the quick score by Gradkowski and the Raiders.
Well, Ronnie, an absolutely critical drive for the St. Louis Rams and the young quarterback, Sam Bradford. He's got to answer. All of a sudden, this stadium has come to life. Bruce Gradkowski provided a little spark. Sam Bradford and the Rams need to answer.
Bradford tries to shoot inside. Intended for Robinson, but a marker goes down.
Offside, defense number 93. In the neutral zone, a snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
That's on the D tackle, Tommy Kelly.
And you know, Ron, the ball's right in front of you. Look at the ball and get off the snap. Sam Bradford, one of the things he does well, his coaches have talked about it, he does a great job of switching up the snap counts, but when you're a defensive tackle, the ball's right in front of you. Watch the football. Tommy Kelly hurting the rhythm that the Raiders had established.
And this is the early rhythm that they did establish. Steven Jackson, and Jackson is stacked up. Maybe got 2. But it looked for a while here, John, like Jackson was going to just run away with this game.
Well, he's been impressive, and you got to praise that offensive line. They're using him in the run game. They're using him in the pass game. You came into this game thinking they were going to unleash Steven Jackson, and they haven't disappointed. I think it's important that you're Rams. You're up by 1 point. Stick with your game plan. Use a good mix of Steven Jackson. Draw those linebacker safeties up and try to hit a big play down the field to one of these wide receivers.
Receivers rush yards on the flea flicker. And that ball going nowhere. Intended for Clayton. But it's well covered.
Really good job by both safeties for the Raiders. Michael Huff and Tyvon Branch. You're going to see Michael Huff on this side not fall for the bait. You get that flea flicker. Steven Jackson's running hard. You can come quick. But Michael Huff does a nice job of reading his keys and staying back, and Sam Bradford has no place to go on the flea flicker.
No fleas to flick on that one. 3rd and 3. Amendola across the formation. Plenty of time for Bradford. That ball tipped, and it's incomplete. Intended for Robinson, but someone on the Raider D-line got a hand on it. I believe it was Trevor Scott. And that will bring up 4th down for the Rams.
Plenty of time for Sam Bradford by the St. Louis Rams offensive line. Steven Jackson doing a good job blocking Trevor Scott on the outside. But ultimately, this is just a good coverage by the Raiders on a critical 3rd down. The Raiders established the momentum, and a big stop for the Raiders to give Bruce Gradkowski another chance to drive down the field.
Johnny Lee Higgins is back deep to receive the Jones kick. A wobbler. Higgins will get away from it. Ball will die around the 15, I call it 17-yard line. 41 yards officially on the punt. More of the man of the minute, Bruce Gradkowski at quarterback. 1st and 10 at the 17-yard line for Bruce Gradkowski and the Raiders. Give to McFadden. No. Play action. And it's complete to Hayward Bay. Nice fake. And now for Seattle-Denver game break. Let's go to Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Benedict.
Here's the completion we haven't heard for a while. Matt Hasselbeck to Ben Obamanu. at least not for a touchdown. 11-yard score over Monty's first in the NFL since 2007. It pulls the Seattle Seahawks within 10 of Denver in the third quarter. Ron and John.
And a look at Matt Hasselbeck's numbers there as Seattle finally gets on the board. Always a tough place to play. John Lynch, my partner, spent a few years there. First and 10. The seam is wide open. That's Miller, the tight end, with the catch. And he took a big hit from Dahl.
Well, Ronnie, we talked about the fact that Jason Campbell really didn't have an opportunity to get the ball downfield in the first half because of the play of the offensive line. But one thing Bruce Gradkowski has done in providing the spark for this team is get back and don't worry about how much time your offensive linemen are giving you in terms of time. Get the ball out of your hand. And Zach Miller gets up from a big hit after a big-time catch by Zach Miller.
You think of Raider tight ends, and you think of some of the greats like Dave Casper and Raymond Chester, Todd Christensen, but Zach Miller with catches like that will soon be considered a part of the Raider great tight end company. McFadden turning the corner and almost broke it. Laurinaitis is there. They exchange pleasantries, but a nice run, and talk about keeping it close since week 2 of last season.
Well, the formula for beating the Raiders, Mike Shanahan used to preach it all the time. You jump on them early, and you put a couple touchdowns on them, they'll implode. But when the Raiders keep it close, they stay in a game. This crowd can get into it. You see, they're very successful when they keep the game close. And Bruce Gradkowski now has got the rhythm going. If you're Steve Spagnuolo and the St. Louis Rams defense, you've got to get up and disrupt that rhythm by jamming receivers, disrupt the timing of this West Coast system that's starting to come to fruition.
Miller checks back in, and there goes McFadden. McFadden down to the 4-yard line. Missed tackle by Larry Grant. A pickup of 29 yards.
We talked about the one positive of the first game in Tennessee being the juice that Darren McFadden seemed to have. And if you're Larry Grant, you got to make that tackle. I know you're going against a good back. Great play by O.J. Atogwe saving the touchdown. Darren McFadden showing the juice that everyone saw at Arkansas when he came out of college.
Third time inside the 11 for the Raiders today. Penalty marker.
Play game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Another part of that game management thing we talked about, and you saw it on the pregame, goes against the Raiders.
Bruce Gradkowski, again, you talk about offensive football, it's all about rhythm. You got to come in, you got to get the ball out of your hand. He certainly has done that. He's been accurate. He's extended plays, avoided the sacks when he's had to, and it's given a lift to this entire team.
Gradkowski will do it on his own. Ooh, he took a shot. Wow, a lot of guys won't get up from that one.
Niall Diggs.
And not only does he get up, he gets up with a little bounce.
We used to call these hits right here, Ronnie. You root for these against the quarterback. This is what we used to call a slobber knocker. Niall Diggs, you just slobber knocked him.
It looked like Laurinaitis was there to wrap him up as well. Second and goal, Raiders bring in Barnes to tackle on an eligible play. Nearly intercepted. Intended for Bartell.
Third and goal from the floor.
And that's the counter that I'm talking about with Steve Spagnuolo. When you start to get the quick passing game going, what you have to do as a defense, you have to disrupt the rhythm of the wide receivers. Ron Bartell gets up there, gets hands on Darius Hayward-Bay, and disrupts the rhythm that Bruce Gradkowski has developed early on in the second half.
Raiders trying to slip the Rams a fast one. They ran Barnes out, then ran him back. Third and goal. Pressure by the Rams. Quick throw. Wide open. Touchdown, Raiders. Gradkowski delivers Murphy. And that's Murphy's first touchdown of the year. And the first touchdown pass of the year for Gronkowski. So the extra point is good, and the Raider Nation is awake, finally. And it's all due to Bruce Gronkowski coming off the bench here in the second half and re-sparking this Raider team. And the place is jumping here in Oakland. All of a sudden, Bruce Gronkowski comes in the game and everything's okay if you're a Raider fan.
Well, he's lit a fire into his team, into this crowd. Bruce Gronkowski's done what you're supposed to do as a backup quarterback. Give your team a spark, get them some momentum, and he's certainly done that in quick order.
He has scored on his first 2 possessions. This is Gilliard at the goal line, and he gets waxed. Quentin Groves in on the tackle. Gilliard slow to get up, if he can get up at all.
This is a welcome to the NFL, Mr. Gilliard. Quentin Groves, big boy, 265 pounds, running down on kickoff coverage. He says, you're going to give our quarterback a slobber knocker, we'll give one right back at you.
And actually, he got blocked into him. Whether you use your shoulder pads, your arms, your back, just make the tackle, right?
That's right, get him down.
So now all of a sudden the crowd is back into it here in Oakland. And here comes Sam Bradford. He'll take over at about the 17-yard line. He'll go back to what was good earlier. Not good anymore. That's Steven Jackson getting shut down. And right now we're going to take some time, go back down to the Los Angeles studio and bring in one of our own. Former Raider great of 13 years, Howie Long. And Howie didn't have much to do, so he thought he'd join us here and talk about the game. First of all, Howie, I know you've been watching this. Give me your thoughts on Gronkowski coming here and sparking this entire stadium.
Well, obviously it's infectious for the football team, for the crowd, for their defense, and certainly on that first special teams play. You want to make sure you've got a good spare tire in the trunk, not one of those donut tires that says do not drive for more than 30 miles and exceed 20 miles an hour. And he's a guy who won a couple of good ball games for them last year, and they have confidence in him.
A penalty marker on the play. We're going to step away here for a second and listen to Tony Corrente.
At the conclusion of the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 93. 15-yard penalty will result in a first down.
That's going against the Raiders. They'll move it up for the Rams.
Howie, you start to get the momentum as a team. Discipline has been a problem that has plagued this Raiders team. Again, you see it bite them right there with a 15-yard penalty by Tommy Kelly.
Yeah, both football teams. I think when you're trying to turn things around, as you mentioned, you're down in Tampa Bay and you were part of turning something around down there. And for both football teams, you have to play smart and capitalize on your opportunities.
Look at a 1st and 10 here. Bradford on the rollout, and that comes up short. How will you talk about quarterbacks and Sam Bradford? He's come out, he's done a lot, threw the ball a lot of times last week, but I've always felt that the best way to handle a quarterback is with that pass rush, not necessarily defensive backs. And I'm sure you agree with that as a former D lineman.
Well, there's no question. What came first, the chicken or the egg, the coverage or the rush? I think it's the rush. Sam Bradford's a talented young player. I think he has a bright future. It's tough for young quarterbacks to be successful.
Keeping the ball on the ground. And, Jackson, you look at this game, Howie, what have they done to shut down Steven Jackson here? Because the first couple plays, Jackson just running all through this defense. What's changed?
Well, I think John touched on it. Last week, the Raiders went with pretty much a straight 4-man rush, and they're a lot more aggressive today. Some of that is due to the fact that you're starting a rookie quarterback, and some of that is the focal point of the offense for St. Louis is Steven Jackson.
3rd down and 8 coming up here. Howie, feel free to jump in and do some play-by-play if you want, man. It's an open booth. Bradford hit hard, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Howie, you talked about the pressure. That time, Cameron Wimbley coming around the corner. That's the first good shot we've seen on Bradford today.
Yeah, and those are the situations you want to avoid. You don't want to end up in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 2nd and 14. And as you can see, you've got a young left tackle. Their 2nd-round pick from this year. They're starting their 1st-round pick from 2 years ago at right tackle. And you're not helping them out on the road. The one thing the Raiders do have is they have some athleticism on the edge.
So a 4th down and 8. That'll bring on the punt team. Donnie Jones will kick it away. Fair catch called. Higgins will secure the catch up the 10-yard line.
Hey, Howie, this is John. You know, growing up in San Diego as a Charger fan, used to root against you and the Raiders. I went to play in Denver for the AFC West and really developed, let's say I didn't really care for the Raiders. But I got to tell you, there was always a part of me that says I'd love to put that uniform on one time. Tell me about the pride of playing for the silver and black.
I don't think you were alone, John. You know, the Raiders are a special place to play. They were when I played there. I was fortunate when I got there in 1981 with players like Art Shell, Gene Upshaw, Ted Hendricks, Matt Millen, players that taught you not only how to play the game, but what it meant to be a Raider and take pride in it.
8-time Pro Bowler, 84 career sacks. Howie Long, and you look at the throw out there, there's a guy that's awakened here in the 2nd half, Darius Hayward-Bay. And Howie, you watch the Raiders throw the ball around, and immediately you have to think the old school Raiders. I'm going back to the 70s, and the vertical passing game, being able to stretch the field vertically. You're starting to see some of that here, and as you look at the field, do you think, well, are we getting back to that? Do they need to get back to some of that?
Well, John made a good point. I think when Gronkowski came in on the opening drive in the 2nd half, they abbreviated their passing game. Yeah, they like to strike the ball down the field. Speed is a big asset in that offense, but when you're having protection issues, as they've had, I certainly running the ball on 1st down, abbreviating your passing game, helping out with protection. It takes pressure off your quarterback, and so much of it is decision-making, and Gronkowski's making good decisions.
Howie, let's take the Rams' point of view. You've got a backup quarterback who's come in and established a ton of rhythm. There's juice in this stadium. How do you counter as the Rams?
Well, one, you have to hit him, right? You have to put him in 3rd and long, 2nd long situations. They had him in that situation in the red zone on the goal line and unfortunately let him off the hook, and he made a nice throw on the touchdown pass.
Well, as you asked for, here they are in a 3rd and long situation. The Rams put Bruce Gronkowski and the Raiders in a 3rd and 8.
3rd and 8 coming up. Howie, as everyone knows, your son Chris on the Rams side of the ball there playing defensive end. And I've grown up in this business much like Chris has. And, you know, when you guys say hello to each other during the week, what is the conversation about first and foremost?
You know, we don't talk a lot of football. I mean, I'll look at some film and make a few points to him. But beyond that, I let Chris be his own man. Chris is his own man, right? That's one of the things that I really respect about him. You see here just a lot of short routes.
Yeah, completion there to Lewis Murphy. And these receivers, they have the speed. Howie, you already touched on that, but I think it's the route running, the technique. They're raw in a lot of those areas.
Well, the speed and size is a cherished commodity in the NFL. And I think in no more than it is in Oakland. Typically, you want to have 4 or 5 guys that can get off the bus and intimidate someone. They probably have about 14, 15 guys that can get off the bus and scare some people.
So they fall short of the 1st down. Ledger will come on and try to kill this one inside the 10-yard line. The backward L punt, L wedge, and that one rolls into the end zone for a touchback.
And Howie, we knew you were coming on, and so we thought we'd go back and do some research. Your signature certainly is that flat top, but we went back and we looked at the old locks there. As a 5th grader in the 80s, you went with that shag look with the part down the middle. Now the mullet in the 90s, Howie, and finally the flat top. Now that mullet, that looks worse than Jimmy Johnson's hair on Survivor.
Yeah, I like Jimmy's hair in Survivor.
You
Jimmy
like
looked
that?
good on Survivor.
Well, you and Jimmy can both tell Terry at least we have that hair, right?
This is a good $12 haircut.
Hey, I can get the $3 haircuts. Let's keep it on the ground here. Hey, Howie, thank you very much, brother. We appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for letting me sit in with you.
Enjoyed having you on, Howie.
Take care. Mr. Howie Long down in our Fox Center in Los Angeles, giving us the updates and the information there on what he sees in today's Rams-Raider matchup. And there we're looking. His son, Chris, just got the Raider offense off the field. A change at left tackle for the Rams, Renardo Foster in at left tackle, replacing Saffold. And once again, Johnny, nothing going on for Steven Jackson in this second half running the football.
But I think you still have to stay with Steven Jackson. What needs to happen for the Rams, though, they need to have a receiver make a play downfield, and they need to open it up a little. The Raiders are clearly challenging them to take the ball downfield, not comebacks, not outs. I think you got to take it. You got to go for the seam. You got to go for the go outside. You got to open up this offense a little because the Raiders are clearly condensing things and making it real congested in there.
3rd and 5. Behind Clayton, and they'll have to punt it away and route on the coverage.
And one thing in this league, when you put hits on quarterbacks, it starts to affect them. And Sam Bradford, we've talked about it for 2 weeks, highly accurate. His accuracy is uncanny. But you put enough hits on him, that accuracy starts to slip, and we saw evidence of that right there on that 3rd down.
Jones standing at the 10-yard line. Higgins had the 53-yard punt return in the first quarter, almost broke it. The Raiders weren't able to do anything with it. Short punt. Ball will hit at about the 40, then take a Ram roll, and will die just inside the 30-yard line. 47 yards on the punt.
This Raiders defense, we can talk about Bruce Gradkowski, but this is a defense in the second half that has allowed 12 total yards. And how do you do it? You swarm to the football. You get a lot of hats on Steven Jackson. And when you get there, you finish with a purpose. And the Raiders are starting to feel the juice that Bruce Gradkowski, the energy that he provided. And sometimes that can permeate a whole team, Ron. It's not just the offense. It's the entire team and the crowd, for that matter.
Look at the numbers. Now, finally, for the Raiders, the stat numbers match the score number. And the entire first half, the Raiders weren't able to capitalize off of anything. 1st and 10 run, downhill run. McFadden tripped up at about the 34-yard line. Dusts himself off in this baseball infield, and that's the end of the 3rd quarter, and it has been all about the Raiders. They have taken the lead 13-7. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a word from your local Fox station.
Okay.
We start the 4th quarter here in Oakland. Ron Pitts, John Lynch. The Rams took control early, taking advantage of opportunities. The Raiders squandered their opportunities. Then Bruce Gradkowski came in the game at halftime, and everything changed. McFadden lowering the shoulder on Dahl, and Dahl is shaken up. Let's go to Los Angeles for this quick game break. Here's Kurt Menefee.
And a quick touchdown. Matt Schaub picking up with Kevin Walters, 6-yard score. Still the Redskins in control, 27-17. By the way, Donovan McNabb, 341 yards passing in this ball game already. And there's still a lot of time to go in the 4th quarter.
And the mentor, Mike Shanahan, taking control against his protege, Gary Kubiak, in Washington.
McFadden approaching the 100-yard mark, 18 carries for 99 yards, and that's Craig Dahl. I mentioned with a little feature there that he was shaken up. You saw McFadden lowered the shoulder when Darren McFadden came into the film room the other day and met with us. You don't realize he's a little bit bigger than people think.
Yeah, he is. And Tom Cable, the head coach, told us, he said, I was so proud of Darren McFadden because at Tennessee, for the first time, he ran behind his pads, and that's running behind your pads right there. That's running behind your pads and running through Craig Dahl's pads, and Craig Dahl walks off the field, but Darren McFadden starting to run with a purpose, starting to run with the energy and excitement that you saw at the University of Arkansas that made him such a high draft pick for the Raiders.
Only 13 starts in his first 2 seasons, but knock on him that he couldn't stay healthy. And then he went down too easy. Well, and it also he ran too high. Well, he's changed all 3 of those early here in the 2010 season. Looking for the cutback. He needs a block. Won't get the block, but look at him stay low and move his feet. Takes 4 Rams in on the tackle. Atagwe is there along with Fletcher. And that will take him over the 100-yard rushing mark. He's only, up to this point, before this game, had 1 career 100-yard rushing game.
And Tom Cable sticking to what he told us as their objective this week, staying with the run. And when you've got a running back like Darren McFadden, you got to keep running it when you're having success. And then all of a sudden it sets up, much like you saw from the Rams earlier. Steven Jackson was having success. It opens up the passing game. Now Darren McFadden starts to have success. The safeties come up in the box, opens you up outside.
180 rushing yards for the number 4 overall picking. Oh wait, ball's knocked up in the air. Atagwe with the deflection. Nearly caught by Grant.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 21, threw a forearm into the quarterback. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And they say Atagwe, who deflected it, threw a forearm into the quarterback. Boy, I don't know, John. I think that's just going up to deflect the pass.
Tony Corrente, a very good official, but once you deflect the ball, I don't agree with that call at all. I know if you get towards the head of a quarterback, they're going to call it, but I don't think so. I think he goes to deflect the ball, and the forearm's there, but I don't think it was delivered as a blow. I don't like that call at all.
Atagwe, who signed a contract in the offseason, they almost lost him. Changed their mind at the last minute to bring him back on, and he gets popped for the 15-yarder, so now it moves the ball up to about the 38-yard line. Plenty of time for Gronkowski. The turn route, another flag intended for Higgins.
Illegal contact, defense number 32. 15 odd-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
John, everything seems to just be going the Raiders' way now. It didn't go like that in the first half, and now, even with the calls there, it's their day.
Well, you look at, we didn't like the one call, but the illegal contact. Now the penalties are starting to go. We talked in the first half of the lack of discipline of the Raiders. Now it's the Rams that are starting to come up with penalty after penalty. When you get this kind of momentum going, you know as a player, someone has to make a play to turn the tide for the Rams.
And McFadden continues to truck people. Running right through. Finally, Larry Grant is able to just hold on and bring him down, but this is not the McFadden we've seen in the past.
I got to be honest, I played against Darren McFadden in the same division. We played him twice a year, and I used to love playing against him because he gave you such a big target to hit. This is a different guy than I used to study, than I used to play against. I don't know what changed in him, but something has. He's running with passion, he's running with heart, and his skills are starting to show how talented he is.
Michael Bennett checks in for McFadden. A timeout called by the Raiders.
Oakland
trying to give McFadden a breather. He deserves it. Over the 100-yard mark for the second time in his career. So a second down and 3. The timeout gave McFadden a chance to catch his breath. He lines up at the I spot. He'll get the call. Looking to bounce it. Maybe he should have bounced it. Didn't. Tried to stay inside. Fred Robbins came up and hit him. And you look at the quarterback comparison today. Gronkowski went in at halftime and immediately began to light up the scoreboard.
You look at Jason Campbell's numbers, don't look that bad. 8 of 15 to 1 interception's bad, but completely different feel in this offensive football team for the Raiders since Bruce Gradkowski has come into the game to start the second half. This is the 3rd and short.
Quick release, caught. Murphy down to the 10-yard line.
Bruce Gradkowski continues to play with great confidence, I keep using the word rhythm, but that's what he's brought. And watch Lewis Murphy, the point man in the bunch, and look at that little window that he threads that ball through a little small window, but Bruce Gradkowski playing with tremendous confidence, letting the ball go. And it's paying great dividends for the Oakland Raiders.
14 yards, John, you made this point earlier, but he's getting the ball out quicker, and I think that's one of the key differences. 1st and 10. They'll pound it inside. Maybe one. Let's go to Los Angeles, where New England and the New York Jets in an update. Kurt Lineker.
And LaDainian Tomlinson looking like his San Diego days, breaking tackles and running free for 31 yards at least. Pushed out of bounds. 2 plays later, the Jets score and get a 2-point conversion. They now lead New England 21-14 in the 4th quarter. Right job.
Hot one there. Thank you very much, Kurt. Look at LaDainian Tomlinson's numbers. The 2nd and 9. The toss to McFadden. Runs away from one, lowers his shoulder. Tried to knock Atagwe out, but Atagwe stood his ground, lost his mouthpiece. But they'll spot that ball at about the 5-yard line, just inside the 5-yard line.
When you're forced to make plays on a great back and speed, and again, the difference, you watch him finish that run. He is finishing runs. He's running with authority, running with the burst that we've seen. And watch him finish that run. He's delivering the blow. Rather than being the hittee, he's being the hitter.
3rd and 3. They spread him out. Quick throw across the middle, incomplete. Murphy is screaming that I was held. The officials aren't here. Jerome Murphy, the 3rd-round pick this year out of South Florida, is on the cover.
Jerome Murphy thrown into duty because Justin King, their nickelback, and Kevin Dockery, the next in line, at cornerback out. They're forced to play a young rookie. He's actually held up pretty well there in the slot.
22 yards out for Janikowski. We never like to say the word chip shot until you see it go, but that is a chip shot. And Janikowski inside 50 yards the last 2 years, 93%, and that's 16 unanswered points by the Raiders.
You look at the numbers of Darren McFadden in that second half as opposed to the first half. 6.3 yards per carry as opposed to 3.8. You know, it's crazy when you bring in a quarterback who establishes rhythm, establishes energy, it can affect everyone. It certainly has had a positive effect on Darren McFadden, the Raiders rushing game.
Short kick for Gilliard, and he gets faced up at the 22 by Michael Huff. The Raiders in control, 16. First and 10 for the Rams. Throwing nearly intercepted. Michael Huff jumped all over that route, but a marker's down. Maybe he went a little early. Intended for LaRon Robinson. And by the reaction from Tyvon Branch, that's going against the Raiders.
Pass interference, defense number 24. Automatic first down.
So Huff made the nice play, but they get him for interference prior to.
And Ronnie, look at the bunch formations. I think that's playing into exactly what Oakland's doing for you right now. They're squeezing down the defense. You got to do something to open up, even if for effect. Take a shot downfield. They are packed down so tight on this Rams offense. You got to take a shot downfield.
And there's your shot, so to speak, back door. And that one's picked off. Stanford route. Prior to that throw, the last 5 Ram possessions ended in punts. Now tack on an interception.
The Raiders take over on the Rams 46.
Maybe not the kind of throw that Sam Bradford wanted to make in terms of ball placement. But a great interception there by Rout. His fifth career interception, and more importantly for the Raiders, they have the ball back in a time and a chance to grind some of the clock.
You go back to the play. Great technique by Stanford Rout. And I talked about them needing to get the ball downfield. They needed to, but you got to place the ball where your receiver can catch it or no one can catch it. Sam Bradford, all the things that we have lauded praise on him, ball placement, it's all starting to go away. And that's what happens when you get hit. And Tom Cable proud of his corner, Stanford Rout.
Rout, the second round pick out of Houston back in 05. Everybody will talk about Asamoah, the Pro Bowl corner on the other side. But you talk to people at the Raiders facility, and they'll tell you that Rout is a pretty darn good corner. And that one in the grill and out of Brandon Myers, the backup tight end.
You know, Ron, not to go back to the St. Louis offense, I think that shot right there illustrates what's lacking on this team. A number one receiver. I know Mark Clayton had a big game last week. They need a true number one. They know it. We know it. The Raiders know it. You see them up challenging. I've talked about how they've condensed the defense. That's something in the building of this team. When you put a young quarterback in there, you better give him a number one, a legitimate number one receiver. They clearly don't have that right now.
3rd and 6. Caught. First down, Raiders. I believe a marker went down.
This one for Raiders first down.
Holding, offense,
That's
number
coming back.
64. 10-yard penalty, repeat, 3rd down.
That's the center, Samson Sautelli. Well, last season ended with a bombshell. Tomorrow night on Fox, House returns with an all-new season of shocks, surprises, and a premiere that will have everyone talking. Prepare for complications. It's the season premiere of House tomorrow night at 8, 7 Central on Fox. John, I tried to give you my ominous voice.
Pretty good.
Scared our kids half to death, but it's a great show. Check it out. So the first down is wiped out on the holding call. That's a 3rd and long. Man showing pressure. They bluff it. Only bring 4. Rakowski finds a man, but it's dropped. Hayward Bay had it, but in and out of the hands. And they'll bring on punt team for the Rams.
Talk about the domination in the second half. Oakland clearly taken over this game. They played this complete half in the territory of St. Louis. St. Louis needs to do something. You know, I talked about even for effect, you got to take a shot downfield. Unfortunately, when they pick the ball up, that doesn't have the effect that you intended.
Leckler, Amendola gets under it, will not fair catch. And right down the field with the excellent tackle. That's Stevie Brown. Brown just activated off the practice squad as of yesterday. The rookie 7th round pick out of Michigan.
Sam Bradford comes into the game. He's got Steven Jackson rolling, but he sees right away that this isn't the same Raider defense he watched last week. They're going to bring pressure on him. He had some success. Touchdown to Mark Clayton right there. But then the pressure keeps coming. And those hits, as I mentioned, they start to wear on a quarterback. And all of a sudden, a real accurate quarterback doesn't become so accurate. Important for Sam Bradford to get back that momentum right now for the Rams.
1st and 10, the noise picks up. Slant. Stanford Rout again. He's all over Robinson. And a look at Bradford. The first half, clearly different the second half, and I think there's also a difference between the running of Steven Jackson first half to second half.
Here's why you got to throw deep. You see the corners. That's old school Raider football. Corners up in your face. You got to back them off somehow.
2nd and 10. backside throw to Jackson, trying to get him involved. And before that play, Jackson with 5 rushes for 8 yards in the second half, John, clearly cooled down from the first half. A 16-7 game, now the clock starting to run. You're not out of the game, and I don't think you need to go into full-scale desperation passing mode as of yet.
Not full scale, but you got to increase the tempo. You got to increase the tempo with the time you spend in the huddle. You got to start picking up the pace.
3rd and 5. Pressure around the corner. Trevor Scott, he got a hand on Bradford. And I don't know if that internal clock was running in Bradford's head quite as fast as it should have been because the pressure was in his face.
And watch this coverage. This is what I'm talking about. You got all the DBs. They aren't scared by these threat of these receivers going deep. And when you don't have a threat that scares people outside, what is the defense going to do? They're going to play tight coverage. They're going to constrict things, as you say. And that's just something the Rams don't have right now. And it's going to be tough for the young quarterback, Sam Bradford. And defenses, they're going to watch this film. The next team they play is going to come up and play that same type of defense.
Number 2 punter in the NFL last year, Donnie Jones, will punt it away. Leckler was number 1. That ball illegally touched, so the return man smartly gets on it. Or I should say, prematurely touched by the return team. Ron Pitts along with John Lynch here in 4th quarter, a second half that's been all about the Oakland Raiders.
Well, all about the Oakland Raiders, and I think one man is largely responsible for that. That's Bruce Gradkowski. I questioned the move at the time because it didn't seem that Jason Campbell had a chance as badly as his offensive line was blocking. But Bruce Gradkowski came out and threw the ball quickly. He got the ball out of his hand, got the ball downfield, and it's picked up this entire team. The Raiders playing good football in the second half.
1st and 10. They'll give to McFadden. And McFadden told us an interesting story as he picks up a couple, maybe one. We asked him, what did he do different in the offseason this year that he hadn't done the past 2 years? He said, I went to this performance camp down in Texas. It's called the Michael Johnson Performance Center. Of course, that's the Olympic sprinter, gold medalist Michael Johnson. And the key difference, he said, was that I was around other pro players, other pro running backs like Marvin Barber and Patrick Clayton, wide receiver, and it was a competition thing. I wanted to do better in front of them, and it's helped my game. And this guy's game doesn't need any help this second half. He's been on fire. Hayward Bay, again, working on Fletcher. A pickup of 13 yards, his 6th catch of the day.
You see a quarterback in rhythm. You watch the Rams. They're certainly aware of the speed of Darius Hayward-Bay, and that's something that Darius Hayward-Bay has frankly struggled with. The ability to catch the ball. He's not a natural catcher, but Bruce Gradkowski, again, he's permeated a feeling of energy, of confidence in this entire Oakland Raiders football team.
Put it on the ground to Marcel Reese. So now it begs the question, John. Who do you start next week?
I think it's pretty clear right now. It's Bruce Gradkowski. You know, and I know they made a big commitment to Jason Campbell this offseason, but right now this team is clearly functioning better with Bruce Gradkowski at the quarterback position. You've got issues at offensive line. Bruce Gradkowski seems to be able to play with those. They also changed the offense a little bit. I think Bruce Gradkowski gives them the better chance to win right now.
The old flip 90 play, and that's McFadden. And every run he takes now, it seems like he's just inches from turning the corner and scoring. That's 9 yards.
Michael Johnson Performance Center, where Darren McFadden went, you'd expect him to come out with the speed of Michael Johnson, the famous sprinter, the Olympic sprinter, to come out with more speed. He talked about the quickness, but the thing I'm noticing more than anything, it's passion for the game. This guy's clearly demonstrating a passion for the game that frankly wasn't there in the beginning years of his career.
And 132 yards rushing for McFadden. Going deep, looking to the sideline, and clearly out of bounds, intended for Hayward Bay.
Those kind of throws are all right. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes you have to do that for effect. You throw that ball, I guarantee you this next play, Ron Bartell's going to be a little more hesitant to get up in Darius Hayward-Bay's face.
The Raiders still working on 16 unanswered points after looking in the first half like they didn't show up to play. The Rams were getting all the breaks, taking advantage of some of the breaks, but the biggest key in the whole factor, the score was relatively small, 7-3 at half. Throwing on the run, and you probably won't see that very often. Zach Miller hit him right in the chest. A guy that had 66 catches last year can't hold on. And Gronkowski laughing that one off.
The other thing that Bruce Gronkowski seems to give these Oakland Raiders is the ability to move the pocket. He's done it very well, throws well on the run, and like you said, Ronnie, you will not see that much from Zach Miller. Some of the more sure hands from a tight end in this league.
10. Rams have to get the football and get it back now. Movement. That's what they needed.
5-yard penalty remains, third down.
That's Jared Valdir, the third-round pick out of Hillsdale. That's Hillsdale College, the Division II school in Michigan. They've switched the centers back and forth this game, starting with Sautelli, then went to Valdir, and Valdir's head must be spinning by now.
Well, Valdir's played center in the first game. This game he's primarily played that left tackle position, and he's had struggles in both games. But this is a guy, a young man that they feel is very talented, and they want to continue to put him out there in these situations to grow.
Third and long. Intercepted. Jerome Murphy with his first career NFL interception, and it came at a good time. So the third-round pick gives the Rams something they desperately needed with 4:05 left on the clock, and that's the football.
And Jerome Murphy, the young rookie, just activated for the first time. And it's CJIU who's going to tip the ball. And Jerome Murphy comes up with the big play. The Rams were in the situation where they needed a big play. You've got 4 minutes and 5 seconds. You're down by 2 scores. You've got to get at least a field goal. Remember, you don't have to have the touchdown on this drive. At least a field goal. It takes 2 scores anyways. But you got to get it in a hurry. You got to start playing with some urgency.
Well, let's see the look there on Gronkowski's face. But as I already mentioned, that's the first career interception. The guys you mentioned, John, that wasn't even active last week against Arizona. A marker goes down. That's Amendola. Let's check the marker. Here's Tony Corrente.
Offside, defense number 77 lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Key mental error there. That's just lining up wrong. Matt Shaughnessy.
And again, you see, I want to make the point with the two-score game, the field goal's okay on this drive. It's going to take 2 scores anyway. But at some point, again, you got to press the ball downfield. And right now, these Raiders corners are showing no respect for the receivers of the St. Louis Rams. Up playing old school Raiders football, bump and run.
First and 5. Quick turn route. Amendola hit and then body slam, WWF style, and there's the penalty. Rolando McClain, the number 8 pick overall out of Alabama, got a little frisky and then got some yellow laundry.
Yeah, a little frisky, and that's a no-brainer. That's a penalty in this league. Tony Corrente is going to tell us about it.
Play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 55. Unnecessarily drove, picked up and drove the player into the ground. This 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. Automatic first down.
It's not the World Wrestling Federation. They don't allow you to do it. At one point again, 10, 15 years ago, you could do that. They're very clear in their meetings before the season. You can't pick and launch a player to the ground. The Raider fans love it, though.
Yeah, back in the days of guys like Phil Villapiano, you could do that and be applauded for it. Not anymore. That helps the Rams move the ball up. Complete. Amendola right down the middle of the field. They are now inside the red zone. Let's go to Los Angeles. For a quick update, here's Kirk Medicine.
Washington once led the Texans 27-10, but on 4th down, just before the 2-minute warning, Matt Schaub and Andre Johnson hook up. The game now tied at 27. Ron and John.
Well, we've got a hot one here, Kurt. That ball incomplete, intended for Jackson. It bounces off his pads, and here we go, a little extracurricular. That's Jason Smith getting mixed up with Trevor Scott.
The previous play, we saw Danny Amendola. This guy's 5'11", 180 pounds. He's going to get body slammed by Rolando McClain, but that's not going to stop him from going across the middle and making another big catch. He may not be the biggest guy in the world, but this is a tough young man.
The Rams with 3 timeouts. They were in a very similar situation last week in the loss to Arizona late in the game with 1:47 on the clock. Some discussion as to whether or not they should have managed the game and kick a field goal. Looking for the end zone. Is it caught? No sign. No. Out of bounds. Clayton caught the ball, but now they are discussing it. Branch on the coverage.
Remember, Ronnie, a big point of emphasis last year that changed is there is no more force-out rule. If you're able as a defender to force that defender out. It used to be they would call it a force-out, no longer.
The receiver's second foot was out of bounds. It's an incomplete pass.
Now, Steve Spagnuolo has the red flag in his hand.
You can't see the second foot, but it appears that it's not in. And again, Michael Huff has every right to push him out of bounds. Excuse me, Tyvon Branch. 1 foot down. Let's watch that right foot. There's the second foot.
That ball does not move. That's a touchdown.
That's a touchdown. You're right.
Well, is Calvin Johnson in the building? We just went through this last week.
He holds on to the ball.
And the guys on the pregame covered it
Challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass.
We went through it over and over. The ball has to be possessed, caught past the ground. It's the process of the catch. However, in this case, it's the second foot. Now, what I would throw out to you, John, is did he have control when the second foot came down?
I believe there was control. I believe he got that foot on, and I think it should be quick order for Tony Corrente.
Right now, we're going to go down to Los Angeles. Our Fox Command Center standing by, former head of officiating, Mike Pereira. And Mike, we knew he would see you sooner or later, buddy. You saw that play. Give us your thoughts. From this end, it looked like touchdown.
Well, when I saw it live, I thought it would be incomplete, but in the replay,
After review, the receiver had control of the ball with 2 feet in the end zone. The ruling is touchdown.
And Mike, you're right. Both feet in, ball controlled. It is a touchdown. Go ahead and explain it further, Mike.
Yeah, see, he gets control of the ball here. Now watch, he's going to tap the left foot, the right foot. Process now, process. He's got to hold on to the ball. It's not over yet. Ball and the hand are going to touch the ground, but he maintains control throughout the entire process. So he had control, had 2 feet, was going to the ground, but he held on to the ball throughout the process. That's a touchdown.
Very well put. Mike Pereira, former head of the NFL officiating, now on our side here. One of the good guys here at Fox, helping us with that call. And I think it was clear. I think Tony Corrente went under the hoodie as Brown tacks on the extra point. Went under the hoodie, John, and very quick, very succinctly saw exactly what we saw and made the call.
Yeah, and we appreciate you, Mike. Great job of explaining. And if I'm Mark Clayton, I take that ball. You want to complete the process. I give it to the take it to my sideline, give it to the trainer, say paint it up, and then the process is taken care of. There is no question after watching Calvin Johnson. Those guys know to control the ball, but as Mike so clearly stated, it was about both feet in on that play, and the replay clearly shows that second angle shows that left foot was down, right foot came down with control of the ball. He completes the process, touchdown, and beautiful throw by Sam Bradford. Left foot down, right foot down. Now watch the ball. Completes control through the process, which is all the way to the ground. I'll take it to the trainer. Go get that ball trained up, painted up. You got a touchdown, Mark Clayton.
And to a guy that just joined the team last week, Clayton, the former #1 pick back in 05, picked 22 overall. for the Baltimore Ravens. They ran into him on the practice field down in Oklahoma, looking at Bradford and said, you know, he's a nice kid. Maybe we'll bump into him again someday. And yeah, they were right. He was a nice kid, and they bumped into him again. He's helped make it a 2-point game. And that's Jacoby Ford, chopped down in the air, has been let out of the building here in Oakland.
Another thing, we talked about being a 2-score game. What's critical for the Rams, to get the stop. You've got these 3 timeouts. 3 timeouts the Rams have in their back pocket. It's clear, it's critical that you get the stop here.
John, I'm right talking about the timeouts, but a key play in that last series, Rolando McClain, the body slam, tacked on the 15 extra yards and just made it easier for the Rams. Raiders back to the ground game, and that's McFadden. Back down to Los Angeles, another update. Kurt Menefee.
Mark Sanchez making it look easy today against the Patriots. This is 3rd touchdown pass of the day. A 1-yarder to Dustin Keller, and the Jets up by 2 scores with 5.5 remaining. Ron and John.
Ron Pitts, John Lynch here in Oakland. It all started out in favor of the St. Louis Rams, but it was a low-scoring affair, John. Second quarter, or second half, rather, Gradkowski comes in, Bruce Gradkowski, and the whole game changed. More on that in a second. 2nd and 9. Eaton in the box. Rams thinking run. They get past. Pressure. Robbins on the hook. And no place to go. And this is going to be a late hit on the quarterback.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 98. Completely unnecessary, shove the quarterback to the ground. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I'm laughing at Tony Corrente's explanation. Clearly unnecessary to shove the quarterback to the ground. You know.
But John,
is it a shove? Is it a push? Is it a?
But either way, that's 2
number 69
conduct
has
penalties
reported as eligible.
In the last minute here on both sides that have affected the series.
Well, players, when the game's on the line, you got to keep your emotions in check. And I don't know if that was a shove to the ground. It was a push, though, and you just can't go there. You know the league is going to protect the quarterbacks. Big-time mistake for Fred Robbins and the St. Louis Rams.
Bring the corner blitz off the outside. They run the other way, and McFadden just shuts it down.
Timeout. St. Louis. This is their second.
Long.
This is the 32nd.
And on the tackle, the Rams take a timeout. They have 1 left. And I was discussing earlier on that Ron Pitts, John Lynch, first half all about the Rams. 7-3 game, tight game. A lot of missed opportunities, really on both sides, but especially the Raiders had to feel that way. They pull Jason Campbell. Gradkowski comes in. Immediately, the entire stadium changes. He goes on 16 unanswered points.
Yeah, and it's been all Raiders until that last drive for the Rams. And the Rams were right back in this game, and we're going to have the Raiders in a 3rd and 10 situation. Fred Robbins just got the roughing the passer penalty, which kills him. You still have 2 timeouts in the bank. If you can get the stop here, you're going to have an opportunity to go down and score, and a field goal would win the game for the Rams.
2:57. 2 timeouts for the Raiders, 1 for the Rams. 2nd and 9. The workhorse all day. McFadden slips on the infield here in Oakland. It's going to bring up the 3rd down. And that is the 3rd timeout burned by the Rams. No timeouts left. A quick look at the game summary. We just talked about this. And John, maybe a lot of people might be scratching their head. Maybe that wasn't the right move with Jason Campbell. You look at the scoreboard and the stats; it says it was the right move.
Well, if you watch this first half, Jason Campbell didn't have a whole lot of opportunities. His offensive line play was absolutely terrible. But Bruce Gradkowski said, I'm not going to put it in the offensive line's hands. I'm going to get the ball out of my hand. And he's done it. They've been able to move the pocket. But this is the play of the game right here. 3rd down, 2:50 left. This is it.
A 3rd and 7. throw. It was hurried, but the man who's been the money man the entire second half, along with Hayward Bay, Louis Murphy.
Watch them bring the pressure inside. Dorian Stewart going to bring the pressure, but Bruce Gradkowski hangs tough in the pocket. You mentioned he's a tough player. Hangs tough in the pocket, delivers a strike to Louis Murphy. And out of timeouts now, one more first down would seal this for the Oakland Raiders.
A pickup of 13. That was Murphy on Murphy. Jerome Murphy just had the big interception that gave the Rams the ball back and led to the score. Now he gives it up. The Raiders are in control. McFadden, he can pretty much end this thing right now, and there's a huge step in that direction. First down Raiders with 2:35 and counting. We already talked about McFadden, his second 100-yard day in his career. Chalking down officially at 145 rushing yards.
And that was the play right there. You move the chains. It's going to take you down to the 2-minute warning. After that, the Oakland Raiders can take a knee and game over.
That's the 2-minute warning. Tom Cable was unhappy earlier. I think he's a little bit happier now.
Yes, sir.
McFadden, 30 carries, 145 yards rushing. The 30 carries is a career high of carries. His career high for rushing is 164 at Kansas City back in 08. Doesn't look like he's going to pass that, but what a day. And John, this is going back to that call, the roughing the passer, and it's close. Tony Corrente called it unnecessary.
Clearly unnecessary. I'll tell you one thing, Bruce Gradkowski has done everything well, and he did a nice sell job there, too. Because I don't think Fred Robbins hit him that hard. Rules are rules. And Tony Corrente saw it that way, but Bruce Gradkowski takes a good dive, and he's played an unbelievable second half. You can put this game ball in his hands because he came in, sparked the Raiders, sparked this whole team, sparked this whole stadium. And I bet you'll see Bruce Gradkowski line up as their starting quarterback next week.
The Raiders talked all week long about getting their mojo back, and they've been coming in on the heels of that 7 straight losing season deal, 7 straight 11 or more lost seasons. But right now, this is the get healthy that they needed. They felt last week in that loss to Tennessee, they had looked all training camp long to go up against that team, to go back and play a good team back there and show them what they can do. It didn't happen, so they couldn't wait to get out here today and redeem themselves. They had to change quarterbacks to do it, but they got it done, pulling out the victory 16-14.
And on the other side for the Rams, that mistake by Fred Robbins, you don't know how critical it is because you look at where the Raiders were. They were backed up. You're down by 2. A field goal wins the game. You're going to be in a 3rd and 9 situation. The play of the game, really, and Tony Corrente made the call, and the Oakland Raiders are the beneficiary of that.
Raiders with the first win over the Rams since '97, long time coming. That's the final here in Oakland. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this.